I'm Lee Calvert. I'm a Ellis County Farm Bureau board member, and I'm here today in my old neighborhood getting some bees out of a tree for a friend of mine. First, we started off and I gathered up all the equipment I need, and which includes a vacuum system to vacuum up the bees, and then also needed a hive tool, a smoker, and then protective gear like gloves and a bee suit to keep the bees from stinging you while you're working, obviously, and because we're disrupting their hive doing this. And so what we did first was we smoked the bees with my smoker. I mean, it's basically just a bellows on the end, and it makes a little bit of smoke. And so we give the bees a little bit of smoke, and that calms them. It makes them gorge on all the honey in the hive, and it makes them a little easier to work with. Then we took a hive tool and we started removing one piece of the hive, working from one side to the other, and vacuuming up the bees as we went along. So we're gonna try to keep the bees, keep a perimeter around. So I vacuum around the outside, kind of toward the middle, and then just keep them down and keep them going into one area, because the queen's not gonna wanna fly away. She's gonna wanna retreat, and the other bees are gonna protect her. So we're gonna work them down till they're just a little ball, and we can vacuum the rest of them up so we know that we get all of them. There are some foragers that are coming in and out right there. They're flying right in between us here. They're gonna come back and they're gonna start cleaning up. You see them, they're cleaning up all this honey around the hive. And then by the time the sun goes down, they'll just be in a little ball on the top, and I'll be able to get the rest of those. I cut out all the parts of the hive, which includes, this is brood comb. It's got little larvae in there. You see they look like little worms. Most insects start off like that, butterflies and everything else, you know, they all start off like that. The dimensions of the cell have to be just the exact width, just the exact depth and everything for her to place her abdomen in the bottom to attach that egg. If anything's off, you know, you measure by holding they got their little arms, they link their arms together, and that's how they measure, because the bees are all pretty much the same size, you know. So we're gonna remove, and I'm not gonna use the brood comb because it could have hive beetles, it could have any other kind of disease or whatever that exists in the comb. I can just eliminate all those by not allowing them to keep their brood comb. I'm gonna make them start all over on fresh frames. And I'm taking their honey from them. Then again, so I'm gonna take all those hive parts away, start them off on fresh frames. So I'm gonna feed them some sugar water to get them started. I'm gonna replace what they've gathered. And I'm gonna keep some of these, I'm gonna pull off the protein, the pollen, I'll leave it outside, and they'll grab that and shove it in the new hive. And then I'll come back and make sure, like, we try to seal this hole up just to make it a place that's not desirable for the bee anymore. This is their natural habitat, in a hollow of a tree. That's why we don't paint the inside of a beehive, because they're used to sticking their wax, works great on wood. I was working for the water company in Foreston, and we had bees always get into water meter boxes, and the solution was to kill them. And we couldn't use the honey if we killed them. So I wanted to get the honey out. So I had a friend, Adam Barnes, a friend of mine, teach me how to, how to get bees out of the water meter boxes. And then I started getting them out of other places for neighbors, and people said, "Oh, well, hey, Lee does that." And then that's kind of how it all started. I keep bees and sell honey at the farmer's market. I've sold hives to other people. I've gone, and a lot of my hives I've gotten through removals, doing just like this, and I will take these bees and put them in a hive when I get home. And that's how I got started, was doing removals. It was all feral bees. It was all bees that were a nuisance to somebody else. I used to actually live up the street, and when I first put a beehive in my backyard, I knew my neighbors pretty well. They lived behind us, and they're like, "Hey, what's the deal with that beehive? Are my kids okay to play out here?" And I said, "Absolutely they are, send them over." And I opened up the beehive for them, showed them what it looks like, showed them. Anyway, fast forward, it's probably 6 weeks later, and then I see a whole bunch of kids parked at the back fence in their bicycles. And the young man who had come over, whose parents I knew, was telling all of his little friends, hey, these are the bees, this is what they do, there's nothing to worry about, they won't bother us. And he's telling all of his little buddies about, that they're safe, they're nothing to worry about and everything. And I thought that was kind of cool, that somebody that I showed that it was okay, that it was safe and they were nice, was kind of telling the other kids, about it. He learned something, so that was kind of cool.